I'm Digital Hedgehog 19, back with another video. Infinity War is coming up, and I figured why not do a countdown of my top 10 Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. I'm mostly looking at the MCU films that I've watched, that I like the most, and I picked 10 of them that I enjoyed the most. Number 10 is Iron Man, the first Iron Man from 2008, the first of the MCU films. Had to make the list. It's still a good film. I enjoyed it. It was easy to watch, easy to follow the story. It had a great, easy story to follow. So, yeah, Iron Man is number 10. It but yeah, the origin story, it indeed, it is a good origin story for Tony Stark. I mean, and the motivations that he goes through in the film. He gets held in captivity. He builds the arc reactor to keep himself alive after a shrapnel got lodged into his heart. And without the arc reactor, Tony will die. And it's just a great film. Um, it had good action in it, so yeah, number 10 is Iron Man. Number 9 is Thor the Dark World. I gotta say, uh, you know, while I can admit the first Thor was a good origin movie, um, not too many of my picks on this list are going to be origin movies, but I enjoyed Thor the Dark World as a good sequel that followed up the first Thor very well. This time around, Thor is facing off against Malekith, and he wants this thing called the elixir that gets absorbed into Jane Foster's body, and only Malekith can remove it from her. And Thor thought of using her as bait to draw out Malekith, where he can destroy Malekith and the elixir in one fell swoop, but his plan doesn't go so well. Thor in this film has to have some unlikely allies like, well, his brother Loki. And yes, this isn't. And yes, right when we think Loki died, it turns out, well, if you all have seen Thor, The Dark World, we all know Loki did not die. So, yeah, number 9 is Thor the Dark World. What final thoughts? It was a good film. It was a good sequel to Thor. It definitely gave a good, it definitely was a good middle part for the Thor trilogy. It's a good sequel, and definitely say I liked it a lot more than the first film. I like the first Thor, don't get me wrong, but Thor Ragnarok, or Thor the Dark World is number 9. So, yeah, number 9 is Thor the Dark World. Number 8 is Guardians of the Galaxy. The first Guardians of the Galaxy is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. This film is pretty good. For the second Guardians of the Galaxy film is number 8 on my list. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. A very good film, with a really great villain like Ego, who is a good villain. Ego, the living planet. He is Star-Lord's dad. We see Star-Lord meet his actual father, and Star-Lord also learns the truth that, if you've seen the film, you all know what happens, that he learns the truth of what really killed his mother and caused his mother's cancer. It was his father. Wow. That is fucking dark. And we also have the death of Yondu. Yondu was great in the first film, and in the second film, we see him die. And literally, that's it. I mean, it's just a shame that Yondu dies, but, at the same time, this is also part of the build-up to the Infinity War. Number 7 on my list, and at number 7, coming off of that, we go to my number 7 pick, which is Iron Man 2. I love Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 was great. It had good action, great humor. I definitely liked it a lot more than I did with the first Iron Man. And Iron Man 2, I loved watching it from beginning, middle to end. Um, the story in this film is Tony Stark, he's dying, and he learns that the continued use of the arc reactor that he has in his chest is killing him, and he's got a crossword puzzle on his neck until he invents a new element. I mean, this does show off Tony's intelligence, where he combines every single element he came up with to form a new element. And man, that was a really cool moment. Tony actually creates a new element. Also, besides dealing with Whiplash, who is basically out for revenge against Tony Stark and his family due to the fact that his father was an old business partner of Tony's dad, and Tony's dad wronged him, and he wanted revenge on Tony and his family. A lot gets to be desired, and a lot gets to be said here, except this is a good sequel. You know, Iron Man 2, good sequel, and it's my number 7 spot. Number 6 is, believe it or not, my number 6 spot, my number 6 spot is none other than Avengers Age of Ultron. I love Avengers Age of Ultron. It was good. I enjoyed it, and not more to be said except we all know what happens in the movie. Tony Stark and Bruce Banner create Ultron, and Ultron, after seeing recordings of Tony, you all know he goes off the deep end and basically tries to extinguish the human race. He builds an army of himself, and he's trying to prove that he's better than the Avengers, and the Avengers, they have a falling out, and they must learn to live with it to take out Ultron. Ultron shows that he's not only a very strong foe, but one that can go head-to-head with the Avengers very well. And, this film has the introduction of Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, and Vision. And, out of all those three, Vision was my favorite of the three heroes that got introduced. Also, War Machine comes back. I'm always a sucker for War Machine. So, yeah, number 6 is Avengers Age of Ultron. Number 5 is the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, Guardians of the Galaxy 1. Or just the first Guardians of the Galaxy. So yeah, I put the original Guardians of the Galaxy over the second film. I still love the second film, and I like the first one just as much. And that's why it's on here. The first one, had more humor to it, where I think the second one was a lot more darker. And yeah, I get it, sequels tend to get darker, and the first one is still a very fun film to watch. It had some good action in it. We see the Guardians of the Galaxy come together to take on the likes of Ronan the Accuser and his fleet, and we see them risking their necks to stop him and his plan to destroy the Nova Corps' headquarters and the planet that, the Nova Corps, are in charge of, that they govern over. And, the Guardians in this film, you see them all come together, as they were getting arrested, and it becomes a really huge roller coaster of an origin movie